Hello and welcome to the Powerful Performer Show, the show that's helping you build a blockbuster body, red carpet confidence, and that all-important main character energy. Now, I have a question for you. Is your progress stalling lately? Do you feel like you're going to the gym, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy, but nothing seems to be happening? I did as well many years ago. I had macros, I had my meal plan, I had my training program, but there was a big hole when I just wasn't seeing any results. If so, we're going to be talking about how you can turbocharge your training so much more than you already are this session. It's going to be interactive. Get your pen and paper ready and we're going to go straight into it. So why is there a need for this episode? Because people have low motivation. Maybe it's you. Maybe you just aren't seeing the results that you want, or very little results, and it's making you go, why am I even doing this? Maybe you're guessing. Maybe there's like no real strategy in what you're doing. You're kind of going through the motions. You're seeing things on social media and like, I think I should be doing that. And I think that's a good clue. If you think you're doing it right, if you think you should be doing something, you don't 100% know. And that's what this session is about. We want you to have absolute clarity in the 5 to 7 hours around your training so you can optimize all of those results. And if you're like, oh my God, it's 5 to 7 hours around my training. Yes, and that could be why you aren't seeing results at the moment. What do we want? What's the dream? We want to see endless motivation, and instead of motivation, I want to trade that for inspiration. I want you to have high inspiration forever in your fitness journey. I want you to see progress every single week. Why? Because it's the most motivating and joyful thing in the world. And I want you to have clarity in knowing exactly why you are doing what you're doing. And I say this all the time, that nobody knows your body better than you. It sounds weird me saying that. No coach, no one else bar you. So if you can understand the tools, if you have the tools, if you have your little toolbox, you can maintain this and do wonders with your health and fitness journey. And as I keep saying, that's what this session is about. So why does this matter? Because I want you to take full control of your fitness journey and then have that confidence to take that control into other areas of your life. And that's what it's done for me. You go, oh, I can make something happen. It's the same with fitness. It's the same with business. Once you put your mind to something and you have clarity in knowing what you're doing, you're like, oh, I have so much more belief in so many other areas of my life. So let's get into the turbocharge your training episode. I want you to imagine another analogy incoming, that you've got a 5-hour trip coming up and you get in the car, you've got a full tank and there's no traffic. You don't use the sat nav because you think that you know the destination, and you go really quick, but then you hit the motorway and you get stuck in traffic, and then you get off at the next services. And to cut a long story short, a trip that took 5 hours, it basically took 10 to 20 hours, and you feel stressed. You're like, why did we come on this stupid walking holiday? And instead of that, I want you to take the train and it arrive at the exact same time and it take 1/10 of the time that it did when you took the car. I don't know if that analogy resonated with you, but when I did this, when I did the turbocharged training thingy-mabobby that I'm about to show you, everything changed. So without further ado, let's get into it. There's 3 sections that I want you to look at. 2 hours before you train, an hour of actual work time in the gym, and then around 2 hours after you train as well. And the areas we're going to be looking at is training, nutrition, and mindset. Not boring mindset, not woo-woo mindset, just little questions and little tips to make the brain stay in the moment and get better results. So nutrition, pre-training, 2 hours before you do your workout. Carbohydrates. You want to be having roughly, there's no exact science to this, but this feels good for me and my clients, half of your body weight in kg in grams of carbohydrates within a 2-hour window after you train. If you're bulking, if you have loads and loads of calories, then guess what? Go for your body weight in kg, in grams of carbohydrates. So I'm pushing 90 kg at the moment. I know, I've been bulking. It feels good. I would have 90 grams of carbohydrates within a 2-hour window after I train. If you're at maintenance or you're in a deficit or you don't have that many calories to play with, whatever you weigh, half of that, so 90 kg, will be 45 grams in carbohydrates 2 hours after I train. What kind of carbohydrates, Tom? Well, if you're like right at that 2-hour mark, you can have fibrous, complex, slow digesting carbohydrates. That's going to give you so much more energy when you go into the gym. But if you forget, if you don't have time and it's an hour before you train, then go for those simple carbohydrates because it's going to give you so much more energy. Yes, it is your body and brain's main energy source. Yes, it's going to help you push for personal bests, see much more results in the gym, but also there's studies on something called rate of perceived exertion, how hard that exercise feels. If we're just doing, let's just say, a burpee, and we do one burpee, and we haven't had carbohydrates, that might feel really hard. If we have carbohydrates, it's shown that that rate of perceived exertion, how hard that exercise is, literally plummets, literally decreases. So you could do more reps, you could have more power, therefore see more results without it feeling as hard as it does. And this is the second thing, caffeine. This does exactly the same, and it's why athletes time their caffeine perfectly so they can be at the best for game day or before they're going into the gym. And 45 to 30 minutes seems to be the sweet spot for when you get into the gym and your caffeine has got into your bloodstream. And also on a hangover, caffeine does the same thing. It blocks the adenosine receptors, which is where we feel pain, and it blocks it. So all of a sudden you're not going to feel that sort of pain if you're hungover. Little cheat sheet. And if you go to the gym, so if you can time your caffeine 30 minutes to 45 minutes before you train, it's perfecto. It's the sweet spot. Yeah, you're going to feel really good. And then the next thing is hydration. Just have a litre of water within 2 hours. If you train really early in the morning, you might want to get an electrolyte or something like that. It could be good, but just if you're dehydrated, you're going to feel sluggish. It could be a reason why that rate of perceived exertion feels so intense, why the exercise feels so intense. So just make sure that you're hydrated. Training. I want you to check your up and coming session. What do you need? What's going on? Is it? Have you got all of the equipment? Just check your up and coming session so you can program in your brain what's about to come up. And I want you to look, do you need any training gear? I know I need knee pads for squatting. I know that I need a weight belt for chin up. So just check your training gear. And then also I want you to be reflecting on last week's session. This is the most important thing. Why? Because I want you to try and beat the score. If you listen to last week's session, we talked about progressive overload, and that's the most important thing when you're going into the gym. And if you don't know what weights you lifted, or you're doing a fitness class and like say you forgot what weights you lifted, or it's a different teacher, or it's not the same session, there's no way of you activating that progressive overload. So it's really important that you reflect on last week's session so you can gamify it and activate that progressive overload, beat your score from last week. Mindset. I want you to ask yourself before you're going into the gym, maybe you're walking to the gym or you're walking through the door, what is my intention for the session? It's going to help you get way more out of it. And when you get distracted, when you're about to go on the phone or when you're about to go in for a set, you can be like, okay, well, what's my intention? Why am I here? What do I want to get out of my session? It'll keep you present and you'll see way more results. The second thing I've been talking about to the powerful performers recently, it's a mouthful, powerful performers. I don't know why I decided to call it that, but it's having a curious mindset. Very often, we can compare ourselves. As we know, comparison is the thief of joy. We can get down on ourselves, or I had a rubbish session, or that person's really strong, that person looks amazing. And why don't we get curious? If we use the gym time as getting curious, like, why didn't I have a good session? I wonder why that person looks so good. I wonder why that person is so strong, or that athlete's amazing on the TV. I wonder what they do. If we have a curious mindset, we're learning instead of beating ourselves up. We're learning instead of like taking on that emotion. The emotion it's not useful. What you learn from it is the most useful thing. So having a curious mindset, I find is an absolute game changer. And then I want you to attach the session that you're about to do to your big fitness goal. So maybe in 12 weeks you're looking to drop a certain weight or fit into a certain amount of clothing or whatever, lift a certain lift. And then on the other side, what's your big life goal? How is this session helping you achieve that fitness goal? And how is this session, it might seem small, but how is that helping you achieve your big life goal? Maybe it's you starting a family. Maybe it's you wanting to get a job. What do you call it? A job upgrade? I've forgotten what you call it. Maybe, whatever it could be. Maybe you want your dream car. I don't know how building a smaller waist or a bigger chest is going to help you get your big car, but that's going to give you inspiration. It's going to give your fitness meaning. No longer is it just about fat loss. No wonder is it just about muscle growth. It takes on a whole new journey, and that's bringing it back to that inspiration, trading that motivation for inspiration. So ask yourself, how's this session going to add up to your big fitness goal and your big life goal? Intra workout. So what are we doing during the session. Nutrition, it's pretty simple. Have a water bottle, keep sipping water, don't be guzzling litres of water because it's going to be in your stomach and you're not going to be able to push yourself at the gym. If again you're training early, you're not hydrated, you might want to lean on some sort of electrolyte. If you're vegan, if you're plant-based and you know that you're not getting enough protein, I don't know why you're not getting enough protein, but that's a different topic for a different day. You probably want to be having some sort of amino acid so your muscle isn't it's not breaking down in the gym and it can't repair itself. So if you're plant-based, amino acids could be a great thing. If you're having enough protein, you definitely don't need amino acid. It's literally a waste of money. You're just peeing it out. And then for longer sessions that last over an hour, maybe you're training for a half marathon, high rocks or something like that, you probably want to be having some sort of simple carbohydrate to have on that hour. Maybe it's a couple of pieces of fruit, maybe it's one of these sports drinks like a Lucozade or a Powerade or something like that, just to give you that energy as your muscles get super depleted of the energy. Training, so I've been doing this recently. I've been going back and just really focusing on my technique and tempo, and I know we know it, but I know our ego just takes over. If you can just come back to the tempo, if you don't have a tempo by your exercise, if you don't know how slow or how fast you should be lifting the weight, you're seriously missing out on results. And I don't want to go into the science and bore you about it, but if you're just picking up heavy weights and you're not adhering to some sort of tempo, you are drastically missing out on those results. And why the eccentric on the way down, that should be slower, the concentric, that should be more powerful. You're just going to get way more bang for your buck when you're isolating those muscle fibers. So the second thing is depth. I want you to work on depth within the exercise. The science says the bigger the stretch, the bigger the results you're going to see. If we take a leg raise and you've got the body and your legs are here, actually the range of motion is as the legs come past the hips. So if you can get a deeper stretch, more of a stretch within that muscle, and then you can power it on the way up, you're going to activate more muscle fibers, therefore just going to see much better results. Then the third thing is intensity, reps in reserve. How hard are you working? The science says 0 to 3 reps shy of failure is optimal for seeing crazy results. But why don't you want to go to max 10 out of 10 failure every single set? It's simple, because your central nervous system will be fatigued, your body will really be fatigued, your technique will start to dwindle. So I would say 1 to 3 reps shy of failure in every single set is absolutely chef's kiss. Then the mindset for during your workout, I want you to stick to your rest times. Why? Because your session has to make sense. It's been built with the tempo, with the reps, with the rest, so it can all make sense. And we're talking here about energy systems. I'm just looking at my notes so I don't balls this one up, but you've got the glycolytic system, so your body runs on carbohydrates, and this is when you're training from 10 seconds all the way up for 2 minutes. This is your kind of normal gym workout, 5 to 12, 5 to 15 reps or something like that. And if so, you want to be resting for 30 seconds to 90 seconds. The next, you've got the creatine phosphate system. This is when you're exercising from 0 seconds to 30 seconds. So maybe it's a 1 rep max, maybe it's a max box jump. And when you're using your creatine phosphate system, you need to be resting from 2 to 5 minutes. Think of a fuel tank. You need that fuel tank to be properly filled up before you can go again. And this is what we see so much, that people are going from like fitness classes to then gym training. Like, well, the fitness classes seem much harder, I don't feel like I'm pushing myself, and it's because the heart rate is much lower, but they're not understanding how they can take their muscles to failure, especially for people that want aesthetics, especially for people that want body composition optimization. You have to get that feeling of what hard training is, and actually you want to rest, fully recover, bring that heart rate down so you can go again. And for most people, they'll be working within that glycolytic system, so you want to be taking 30 to 90 seconds rest so you can properly take that muscle to failure. The next thing is I want you to stay present. There's so much distraction in the world, and here's a thought. I wonder when we get to the end of our life how many hours and how many years we would have wasted being on our phone. These WhatsApps, these emails, these notifications, and without sounding like a woo-woo wizard here, like if we can just stay present, we're going to get more out of the session, we're going to be in and out quicker, so then we can get back to the emails, we can get back to living life. But if you can just stay present, you're going to get more mind-muscle connection, so you're going to get more in the gym. It could also be an option to not take your phone, maybe write your workout down so you're just going old school, but try staying as present as you can. You'll see way better results. And then the third thing is I want you to be kind to yourself. We're in the gym with loads of people. Maybe we've not slept. We're seeing the kids. We've just been spending hours at work. And then we just start hating on ourselves because we're comparing ourselves to others. If you're someone that's going into the gym, if you're doing training for yourself, if you're following some sort of nutrition protocol, you're trying to do good things for yourself. And it's worth giving yourself a pat on the back sometimes and being like, I'm doing really well. So just, basically stop comparing yourself to other people. Post-training, this is where it really gets serious. Post-training is a 2-hour window after you train. And the most important thing here is something called the anabolic window. It's much longer than we thought. Like, it's really around 48 hours. I'll get what it is in a minute, but this 2 hours is super important. When you break down your muscles, you need to be feeding it with enough protein. And I want to go one step further than just the generic 20 to 30 grams of protein. I want you to do half of your body weight in carbohydrates in grams of protein. So if I'm 90 kg, I'm looking to have 45 grams of protein within a 2-hour window after I train. Why? Because I'm trying to optimize something called leucine threshold. Leucine is an essential amino acid which helps the muscles build. It turns on that muscle growth switch. So within that 2-hour, that very important 2-hour window, when you've done strength, go for half of your body weight in kg in grams of protein, and you'll be optimizing the old leucine. Then after 2 hours after that, I want you to have 20 to 30 grams of protein just for good measure. It's not a bad idea, if you get me, another 2 to 3 hours after that initial protein to have another 20 to 30 grams of protein serving, just to keep the old muscle protein synthesis, the process of you growing more muscle, recovering, growing more muscle tissue on. And then it's also a really good idea to have some sort of carbohydrates after you train, again, around half your body weight in kg in grams of protein. So I'd be going for roughly, in a 2-hour window, 45 grams of carbohydrates, and it's just going to refeed and replenish the energy within the muscles, what's called the glycogen stores. Training, I want you to look at a cool down, I want you to look at breath work, and then put a little diary together of like the weights that you lifted, what went well, if you've got any questions for your coaches. The reason why the breath work and cool down is important, because we're putting our body in fight or flight, and then we're just skipping off to work, skipping off into the world and skipping off into life. But we need to get back into rest and digest. I've tried training at night and then go to bed, but my body's literally like, wow, we're still running away from a tiger, mate. Or I've come back in and I'm actually a little bit snappy. It's because I'm on the front foot, because I'm still running away from a tiger. So we need to get our body back into rest and digest. And then the diary is just great, because say you have a really good session, it's like, okay, what went well? You can go back to your notes, and our Powerful Performer app does it very well. You have to fill in, what's gone well in your session, and you can just try and replicate that, every single week, and your coach can, you and your coach can just be talking back and forth. Mindset, look at wins, look at challenges, look at prescriptions for next week. What went well? What were the challenges? What do you want to improve on next week? And then rate your session out of 10. And I'm talking about intensity here. If 10 out of 10 is max intensity, it's like, that was really, really hard, it's going to take me a couple of days to recover from that. You want to be about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So rate your workout in terms of intensity, and are you around a 7 or an 8 out of 10? If so, you're working at the right intensity. And the last thing, if you've got any questions for the coaches or the person that you answer to or the person that keeps you accountable, just so you can keep the learning going. And I think that's really important, the whole learning thing, whether you listen to podcasts, but keeping your fitness or keeping whatever you're working on front of mind, because we can just get into old habits. And I think asking coaches questions, listening to podcasts, learning in general can keep the thing that we're trying to work on, in this case fitness, front of mind. Therefore we see better results. And if you do all of this, if you work on the 5 to 7 hours that I've just spoken about, you'll see bigger progress, you'll see clarity in your training, and you'll have more enjoyment in your fitness than ever before. And what you can do is take these 5 hours and start there. Okay, how are you eating? How are you going about your training? Then reverse engineer that. Often we start at the beginning. Okay, what does my morning hold? What's my first meeting at work? Instead of having an overview and shifting that focus to the 5 hours of you training, which is the most important thing for fitness, and then everything else can come secondary to that. So I hope this has turbocharged your training it will do if you create your checklist. And this is your action step. Go through and create yourself a turbocharged training checklist that every day or every week you can just go through and be like, yep, did that, or didn't do that, need to go back and do that. And if you're getting ticks by all of these non-negotiables, I promise you, like I always say, we're just working with science here, so you're going to see amazing results. If you've got any questions, let me know on Instagram at Tom Senior Fitness, and if there's any topics you want me to talk about, then let me know and I will be happy to do so. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.